Good evening, good morning to some of you, maybe. Today we're going to talk about communication and what is communication? What are the levels of communication? And what happens with communication? Because communication is a very important aspect of our lives. Communication is exchanging data. It can be verbal, it can be um, non-verbal, can be auditory, it can be visual, it can be a lot of things. It's just data is energy, and energy is being exchanged in one form or the other. The simplest, easiest way that human beings communicate is verbal. So we tell each other what we want, how whatever it is, and go from there. So I want you to imagine a series of circles. So one, there's a smaller one inside and a smaller one inside and so forth. So the outermost circle, we'll say, is passing communication circle. That is when you go to, say, the shopping mall or whatever it is, and then you go to this checkout, and the checkout clerk says, "How's it going?" And you're like, "Good, thanks." Or, "How are you?" "Fine, thank you." That's it. So you're just passing through, and this communication is just a very simple, basic acknowledgement of each other. So you just hi and bye, passing communication. The next level is factual. So in factual communication, they're like, "Oh, I've seen you before. Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from India, and you're from Australia." And so we start exchanging facts. "Oh, what do you do? And which part of Australia are you from? And what are your interests?" And all these sort of things. So we exchange facts, and that brings us a bit closer than passing communication. So with exchange of facts, then maybe we can move into, or we might move into, thoughts and ideas. So what's your thoughts about the environment, or whatever it is, or your belief systems? And then we get into a much more deeper level of communication, talking about thoughts and ideas that we have, which are sort of in our own heads. The deeper we go, the more we exchange thoughts and ideas and all these things. The fourth level is reactions. So reaction is actually anger, anxiety, disappointment, guilt, shame, and all these things, which are mislabeled as feelings. So most people say, "I feel angry, I feel anxious, I feel this, I feel that, I feel guilty, I feel ashamed." They're not actually feelings, they are reactions to a feeling. So we'll come to that. So usually couples and other people at work and people who are closer than the ones that are gone past the thoughts and ideas communication usually communicate on a reaction level, or they don't communicate. Like one person will sulk and the other person is like trying to guess what's happening, and it's like, but that's also communication. It's like, I'm going to non-verbally show you that I'm upset rather than say it, sort of thing. And then body language and all these things come into play. So reactions. The next level is actually feelings. There are only two feelings: one, you're in control, or you're not in control. When you're in control, everything is fantastic. It is, you're in love, everything is flowing, everything is in harmony. It's great. And the other thing is, you go out of control. You lack control, you become powerless. There's only two feelings that exist. And when you feel out of control, you get anger if it's about the past, or anxiety if it's about the future. And the secondary emotions start coming in. So basically, emotion is energy in motion. So how do we get emotion? Judgment causes emotion. So this is shit. This is really bad. That is right. This is wrong. That causes either anger or anxiety, and those two aspects flood our system with chemicals which are either making you feel good. If you say, "Hey, this is fantastic," you feel good. If you say this is really bad and I hate this and I hate that, which seems to be the sort of norm, you get chemical resultant to those thoughts and ideas and verbal communication styles. Then you feel unwell or your wellness is compromised. The next level of communication is core communication, where you're actually in deep communication with everything. That is from a state of meditative um, being. So you stop being a human being, sorry, human doing, which is about look what I do. So you're, as a human, you're doing things. You start becoming a human being. You start becoming be. That's it. There's nothing to do, but you're in connection with everything. With the, because actually you're in connection with everything. It's just that emotion and your communication takes away the connection. So you're basically like a drop of water in the ocean. You're connected to the ocean, but with your emotion and your thought process um, and your communication, we put barriers around us. So we feel isolated from the connections. The connection is always there. We just have to re-establish it by dropping all those walls and barriers that we have. And with this comes, forgiveness. So what is forgiveness? And people are like, oh, I forgive the other person and all this stuff. It's not actually about the other person. It's not some altruistic great act on your part. You stop and free others from your um, judgment and imposition of your wants on the other person. You expect the other person to behave this way or that way, and that is the problem. They do not behave as you want them to behave or act or think or whatever it is, and then we feel betrayed, we feel angry. So you give up that anger and resentment, accepting the other person as a unique, wonderful being who will never come this way again. Basically, you're freeing yourself from your judgmental perspective of how the other person should behave or act or think or do other things. So you are giving up your resentment and anger. It's got nothing to do with the other person. So you become you feel light because you have just given up this burden of resentment and anger that you harbor against somebody who's a unique being who will never come this way again. Because at every given second and point in time, there are a million cells that are changing in my body. After listening to this, maybe this conversation, your thoughts and ideas have changed. So you're not the same person 5 minutes ago. You will not be the same person 5 minutes later because so many parameters have changed. So if you start looking at somebody as a unique, wonderful person who will not come this way again and who acts and behaves in a certain manner that is unique to them, and we free them from our expectation and judgment, that is forgiveness. You free yourself. You don't free the other person. You free yourself by forgiving others. But the point with judgment and expectation is also the same sort of communication that we are having with ourselves. So we create this conversation and expectation and judgment about ourselves instead of accepting ourselves as a unique, wonderful being that will never come this way again. The person I met yesterday is totally different from the person I'll meet today. The thoughts have changed, the ideas have changed, the parameters have changed, the environment has changed. Everything is different. At any given point in time, we are constantly changing. So the other person, we cannot put them into sweet little brackets and expect them to perform accordingly, like, oh, she did that yesterday or he did that yesterday. That's how they're going to behave today. So no, there are 1,000 things that are changed in their lives, my life, your life, environment, everything. So communication is very important about how we communicate to ourselves, because ultimately it all comes down to us. Or we, it's like a tree you can make 1,000 matchsticks out of a tree, but one matchstick can burn down 1,000 trees, and that one matchstick is like your negative thought, is the communication that you will have with yourself. It can burn down 1,000 positive thoughts. So if we change the communication, because communication equals is from thought. Thought equals pictures. Pictures equals chemistry. Chemistry is chemicals in our system. So every time I tell yourself I am stupid or this, or tell other somebody that they are stupid on stuff like that, what you're doing is changing your biochemistry by pumping chemicals based on whatever you're telling yourself or the others into your system. And one way to do that is to try to accept the other person as a wonderful human being who'll never come this way again, and change our communication style from saying I'm angry and anxious and all these things to I feel helpless, because there's a heartfelt, authentic communication when you say I feel helpless to your partner, to your friend, whatever it is, at that given point in time, and they will come down to your heart level to communicate. It's like birds. Have you seen birds in a flock flying, or fish, a school of fish? They all change direction instantly, like waves. And how do they do that? Because when 51% of the school of fish or the flock of birds decide they're going to go to the right, everybody else will follow. It's a perfect democracy. But they're not thinking about it. They have this phenomenal connection with each other. It's a heartfelt connection. And we have a lot to learn from nature, because nature is non-verbal, but it's communicating. It's communicating. It doesn't, the 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 birds and the bees and the other stuff that are there, they're not judgmental about what's going on in the universe. They just happen to be there. It's like flowers in a desert. The flower in the desert just blooms. That's his job. It's his role in life to bloom. He doesn't care who's going to come and have a look at it today, or somebody's going to come and trample on it, or somebody is going to appreciate it and tell it how beautiful it is. It doesn't care. The flower in the desert blooms because that is its nature. And that's what we have to do at every given single point in time. Focus on your breath, watch your thoughts, be aware of how we communicate with others and ourselves, and be authentic about expressing. So I feel helpless right now, and what can I do about it? I can breathe, I can change, and I can tell others, and see the difference that makes in your life. Thank you.